Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're taking a look at a Pokemon that got 2 buffs in the Season 16 update, and that is SCYTHER. Now SCYTHER has Aerial Ace, which now costs less energy, and gets a brand new charge move, TRAILBLAZE, which is a grass-type clone of the move Flame Charge. So with 2 updated charge moves, I wanted to test out SCYTHER, even though it's absurdly glassy, to see how it performs and if it's worth using. I paired it up with SWAMPERT on the lead so we can test out the Earthquake nerf and Frostlass. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out double buffed SCYTHER in the Great League. Hopping into the first match, picking up a very neutral lead, SWAMPERT into Defense Deoxys. I'm going to stay in this matchup to start, but I will eventually look to switch out of here, as I do have 2 Pokemon in the back that can hit it for super effective damage. I'm able to connect with the Hydro Cannon, opponent farms up to the back-to-back Psycho Boost, but they're going to lose CMP to the SWAMPERT. SWAMPERT will grab a shield with the Hydro Cannon, and this Psycho Boost, I have a decision to make. I know it's not going to KO, so I decide to let it go. Opponent is now going to save switch into Dewgong, and I'm going to respond with my Frostlass. Frostlass isn't a hard check to Dewgong by any means, but the nice thing is I am going to be resisting the Ice Shards, and thankfully, the Ice Shards plus 2 Drill Runs will be barely not enough to KO. Shadow Ball is going to connect onto the Dewgong. This is another Drill Run, and again, I'm not going to be shielding here. I should barely survive this. Opponent baits with the Icy Wind, anticipating the shield, and that is incredibly good for me, as now I can fire off the Shadow Ball, and Shadow Ball plus a Powder Snow will secure the KO. Opponent still has the Deoxys. They're going to send it in. Deoxys does not want to risk me getting to an Avalanche, so they're going to be firing off the Psycho Boost. Psycho Boost will KO. In comes SCYTHER in the back. It's SWAMPERT farming up, switching and catching the Hydro Cannon onto my own SWAMPERT, and now SCYTHER is in a position to sweep. Back in comes SCYTHER, farming up and firing off the Trailblaze just before they make the move. Do they respect it? They do not. Get absolutely one shot. In comes the Deoxys. Deoxys now going to have to deal with a boosted Trailblaze, and the opponent recognizes that it's over, and they let the charge move through. We see another neutral lead in the next match, SWAMPERT into Azumarill. I'm curious to see how this matchup goes, of course now that Earthquake has been nerfed. Farming up with the SWAMPERT, opponent ends up throwing the Play Rough as soon as they get it, and by throwing on alignment, they give me an extra Mud Shot for free. Play Rough does quite a lot of damage, but will not put me into farm down range. I'm firing off the Earthquake. Earthquake does quite a bit of damage, and it looks like even with the nerf, the regular SWAMPERT will still be able to 2-shot Azumarill. I'm firing off the Earthquake. Earthquake will get the KO. Opponent sends in Gligar. Gligar can barely not farm down. SWAMPERT with the clutch survive, and Hydro Cannon will grab a shield. In comes Frostlass, and Frostlass in a pretty good situation here, as I can tank whatever they throw. They go for the Aerial Ace. They're going to send in Medicham. Oh no! And Medicham is going to have to deal with SCYTHER. SCYTHER firing off the Aerial Ace. That will hit for big super effective damage. SCYTHER is very glassy. This Ice Punch might KO here. They actually go for the Psychic. That does massive damage, and they get a defense drop as well. So I'm barely able to make it to the Aerial Ace here. SCYTHER is absolutely a glass cannon. Gligar gets the farm down, but I can just bring back in Frostlass, and Frostlass will be able to make it to the back-to-back Avalanches before they're able to make it to 3 Aerial Aces here. And Gligar, they're firing off the charge move, but you can't hold 3 Aerial Aces. So I'm very safe to shield and go for the Avalanche here. Avalanche will secure the win and the KO onto the Gligar. Picking up a terrible lead in the next match, SWAMPERT into Lickitung. Lickitung beats this entire team, so this is not a good Pokemon to see whatsoever. The good news is SWAMPERT is able to outpace Lickitung, but the bad news is Lickitung can pretty comfortably tank 2 Hydro Cannons, whereas a Power Whip will absolutely delete my SWAMPERT from the game. I'm going to respect it with a shield. Opponent baits with the Body Slam, that's even worse. I'm farming up, going for the Hydro Cannon, my opponent with a great prediction, anticipating when I go for the move and catching it onto Deoxys. I'm going to farm up a ton of energy with my SWAMPERT, and now I can send in Frostlass. Frostlass can very comfortably tank whatever they throw here, and then look to overfarm and go for the Avalanche on the CMP tie to the Psycho Boost. So I'm going to farm up and fire off the Avalanche on the CMP tie. Avalanche, of course, will be lethal. My opponent did save energy on Lickitung, and Lickitung will be able to make it to the Power Whip and deny the energy on Frostlass. That's a bit uncomfortable. I'm going to be sending in Scyther. Let's see what Scyther can do in the back. It's a Medicham. Let's go. Scyther now going to be firing off the Aerial Ace. We've seen this does quite a lot of damage to the bulky Medicham. Scyther is incredibly attack weighted. Scyther committing the shield. Medicham firing off the Psychic. I don't think I can farm down without a boost, so I'm going for the Trailblaze boost. Honestly, I should have thrown Trailblaze sooner, so that way I could get a boost more quickly. But unfortunately, as you're going to see, it's not enough of a boost to farm down. So I'm forced to go for the Aerial Ace and get the KO. These Fury Cutters are boosted and they are chunking away at Lickitung's health. Lickitung forced to go for the Body Slam. That will KO the Glassy Scyther, but Swampert has so much energy in the back. And we have the back-to-back Hydro Cannons. First one gets the shield and the second one will get the KO. And against all odds, we're able to secure the win. We see a familiar lead in the next match, Swampert into Defense Deoxys. As before, I'm going to stay in this match at the start, but I will eventually look to pivot out of here. I'm farming up with the Swampert and going for the Hydro Cannon as soon as I get there. I'm looking to get some chip damage onto the Deoxys. Deoxys farming up, and this will be the Psycho Boost. Psycho Boost does quite a lot of damage, but I will be able to hang on. Opponent now going to send in Dugong. They were trying to go for the Hydro Cannon catch, but I'm able to hold on to my energy and fire off the Earthquake. Dugong commits the shield, and I'm now going to send in Frostlass. Frostlass can do okay here, as we've seen, able to withstand 2 drill runs and the ice shards that come with them. I'm farming up and going for the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball will do about half their remaining HP, so all I have to do is get to another Shadow Ball, and I should be okay. This is going to be really close, though, as Drill Run is going to get me deep into the red. Frostlass barely able to hang on and make it to the last second Shadow Ball. That is absolutely massive. Shadow Ball gets the KO. Do we see the Deoxys, or do they send in their final Mon? They send in Deoxys. Deoxys gets the farm down. I bring in Scyther, and they're firing off their Psycho Boost. I'm going to be committing the shield here. What do they have in the back? It's a Heliolisk, and this game is over. This is actually a team that I was running to start the season. I think it's a pretty strong team, and as you can see here, it is absolutely destroying my poor Scyther here. Scyther goes for the Trailblaze. Heliolisk able to withstand that damage. They're going to be able to force my final shield with the Breaking Swipe, and there's just nothing that I can really do here. I can KO one of their remaining Pokemon, but the other one is going to get the win. They decide to let the Heliolisk go. They can send in the Deoxys, counter down, and Scyther cannot get the Fury Cutter down here. Little bit of lag at the end, but it's not going to matter. They had the Psycho Boost. Psycho Boost KOs the Scyther, and that's a good game. Picking up another neutral lead in the next match, Swampert into Azumarill. Again, I don't mind this lead. My backline, especially Scyther, really do not appreciate Azumarill, so definitely not upset at seeing it here. I'm firing off the Earthquake into the Azumarill, and Azumarill is going to let that through. Opponent now save switches into Trevenant. Honestly, I was not expecting a Trev save switch. I was very slow on the counter switch into Scyther, and now I have to give up a shield. And to add insult to injury, my opponent goes for a bait as well, and I make it to the back-to-back Aerial Aces. If they shield, I can force a second shield, but they're wisely going to let this go, because they have a move on Azu and they can deny this energy. My opponents so far are playing this very well. They fire off the Ice Beam. That puts pressure on my final shield because I didn't want to lose the energy on Scyther. I go for the Trailblaze. That's going to get a shield. I'm now boosted. I can't make another charge move as Azu banked so much energy from earlier, and Ice Beam will get the knockout. My Swampert is still very healthy. In the back, it's Sableye, and this is looking rough. They're 2 off the foul play here. I have to bait. Hydro Cannon bait, gets the shield. Swampert wins CMP over the Sableye, and that should be the game, as Earthquake will put it into perfect farm down range for the Frostlass. They're forced to fire off the foul play here. Foul play will get the KO, but I can farm down with the Frostlass. In comes the Azumarill, and the opponent concedes a match. You can't ask for a much better lead than this. Swampert into Shadow Magnezone. Opponent save switches into Medicham, and I'm going to respond with Frostlass. Again, I was a little slow on the counter switch here, so I'm going to be forced to commit a shield because I have to guarantee that I can keep switch advantage. I can now farm up just shy of 100 energy and go for the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball will get the KO onto the Medicham, and now if they send in that Shadow Magnezone, I can guarantee the shield back or just one-shot them with the Shadow Ball. They send in the Magnezone. I'm farming up and firing off the Shadow Ball in the middle of the Volt Switch. Opponent fully sacrifices the Magnezone, and in the back they have Cresselia. Cresselia going for the Grass Knot. This will not KO the Frostlass, and from here, I'm just going to send in Scyther. We're featuring Scyther. Let's see what Scyther can do here. Scyther farming up. Can Scyther tank a Moonblast? My guess is it can, but not well, and we get debuffed as well. The good news is I can reset that debuff with a Trailblaze, but man, that is a bit unfortunate. The Scyther is now boosted. As you can see, these boosted Fury Cutters adding up onto the Cresselia. I'm going for Trailblaze number 2. That's going to be shielded. They get the farm down, but I have a move on Frostlass, and I win CMP. So I'll be able to finish out this game. But man, those boosted Fury Cutters on a Mon as attack weighted as Scyther put in a surprising amount of damage. Picking up a positive lead in the next match, Swampert into Shadow A-Slash. I'm farming up with the Swampert, and I'm firing off the Hydro here. Hydro, of course, will not KO the A-Slash, but I'm just looking for chip damage. My backline is so weak to A-Slash that I just have to get rid of this. So I'm able to land the Hydro. They go for the Drill Run. It's a race of fast moves, and Swampert with 1 HP is able to take the win. Opponent sends in Cresselia, and I'm just firing off the Hydro Cannon into whatever they bring in. That gets some valuable chip damage, and now I can bring in Scyther. Scyther farming up in the back. It's a Shadow Gligar, and oh man, this is going to be very tough for my opponent. Gligar, Dig does quite a lot of damage on a Frostlass, so I will commit the shield. It only ends up being an Aerial Ace. I'm farming up with the Frostlass, and I'm going for the Avalanche. This will guaranteed get the shield back, and it does. And now my opponent is going to be firing off another charge move here. Is this the Dig? Yes, it is. That does quite a lot of damage. Frostlass gets the farm down. In comes Cresselia. The Psycho Cut KOs, and now it's all up to Scyther to try and clutch the game. Scyther has taken some damage. I don't think I'm quite in Moonblast range, but it's close. I'm committing the shield to protect myself from the Moonblast. Opponent baits with a Grass Knot. Oh no. Scyther makes the Aerial Ace. This is boosted. Is it going to be enough to KO? Aerial Ace puts them to 1 HP, and the Fury Cutter gets the win. Moving into the next match, leading Swampert into Medicham. I have 2 better responses in the back, so I'm going to save switch into Frostlass. Opponent now going to send in Lickitung. Definitely happy to see the Lickitung here, as I should be able to force a shield with the Frostlass, but still not a fun Pokemon for this team to see whatsoever. The only reason I can do okay with Frostlass is I have an energy advantage here. Whereas Lickitung, as I mentioned earlier, just beats this entire team. It's one of the reasons why, if you're going to run this team, running a stronger flyer than Scyther is probably advised. I'm going to send in the Swampert. Swampert makes the Hydro Cannon. I need this to KO. I don't want to give up a shield here, and it does. That's big. Is my opponent going to be sending back in the Medicham, or do we see the third here? They send in the Medicham. I bring in Scyther, and it's a Lantern in the back. The good news is I have Trailblaze. The bad news is Trailblaze does not one-shot here. Lantern able to withstand that damage, and the buffed spark damage is adding up quite a bit. I'm going to commit the shield with the Scyther. Scyther making it to the Trailblaze, and this will be lethal. Opponent is going to have to shield if they want to keep the Lantern alive. They let it go. In comes the Medicham. Medicham looking for the counter down. I die with the Aerial Ace, and with that, I think I lose the game. Scyther can do a lot of damage. It's just so frail. I shield the Psychic. I only have 1 win con, and it's to go straight for the Earthquake. This is a CMP tie to the Psychic, though, so all they have to do is shield up the Earthquake, which they do, and the game is won. So Scyther, unfortunately, showing a bit of its weaknesses there, as this thing is just so glassy. Hopping into the final match, leading Swampert into another A-Slash. This works out great for me. This is definitely where I want to see it. I'm going to farm up to the Earthquake, go for the bait, and my opponent makes a beautiful catch, catching the Hydro onto Trevenant. Now, Trevenant is going to be answered with the Scyther after I re-bank a Hydro. Even though I let them get a bit of an energy lead, Scyther is very spammy, so I can outpace, make it to the Aerial Ace, and actually grab a shield from my opponent. They shield, so I am absolutely shielding back. Opponent is going to full send the Shadow Ball. Can I get the farm down here with the Scyther? Scyther! This is just the Seed Bomb. They only did 6. I'm letting it through. It is the Seed Bomb. Scyther's glassy, but it's not that glassy. Able to withstand that damage. and able to leave with quite a bit of energy. Opponent sends in the Sand Slash, and I'm going to be able to get some chip damage here with the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace doesn't do a lot, but the important thing is it's now going to be in a range where I can easily KO with the Hydro Cannon. I'm able to land both Aerial Aces. I do have a Hydro with the Swampert. Opponent knows they lose CMP, so they end up just going for the extra fast move. Pretty nice play there by my opponent. They have so much energy on this Sand Slash from earlier and from farming down the Scyther. Drill Run will connect. I'm farming up. Opponent tries to catch onto Lantern, and I'm able to make the Earthquake. That is massive. Earthquake is going to connect. I now send in Frostlass, but unfortunately Lantern with 1 HP will make the Surf, and Surf will deal some chip damage. The good news is that Sand Slash, I believe, is not at the back-to-back drill runs here. They're very close, but Frostlass is able to hang on. They were 1 off of the drill run, and Avalanche will secure the win. I had a lot of fun running Scyther, and I could potentially see a future limited meta down the road where it could have success. In terms of Open Great League, Scyther's, I would say, lackluster typing, and that's probably putting it kindly, and just how attack weighted it is really does hold it back from true play in the Open Great League, but it is a really fun mon to use, and I'm hoping that we get a limited meta in the future where it can shine, because it hits extremely hard, and TRAILBLAZE does offer some pretty nice coverage. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.